Okay, let's solve some simultaneous equations. I have y equals the absolute value of x and y equals x squared. Okay, I'm going to call these equation 1 and equation 2. Okay, so the easiest thing to do is to substitute, use the substitution method. If y is equal to x squared and y equals the absolute value of x, then you simply can equate them. Or you can just simply say substitute y equals x squared into 1. So you put x squared there. Okay, and you'll let it equal to the absolute value of x. Alright, so we'll write that down. We'll write sub equation 2 into equation 1. Alright, if we do that, we write x squared equals the absolute value of x. Alright, so now you have to follow the same rules we did before when we were solving absolute value equations. Alright, so we're going to take the case when x squared is equal to positive x and when x squared, let's move this over, x squared is equal to negative x. Alright, okay, so x squared equals x, bring it all to one side, x squared minus x equals 0, and factorise and solve. Sorry, that's equal to 0. And solve. So you get x equals 0 and 1. Over here, you get x squared plus x equals 0. Factorise and solve. Okay, you get 0 again. But that's okay. Now, so therefore you get that x is equal to minus 1, 0 and 1. All right, write those down. So x is equal to minus 1, 0 and 1. And we're going to substitute those into equation 2, okay, up here. All right, so for, let's see if I've got some room here. So for x equals minus 1, all right, we get that y is equal to minus 1 squared, which is equal to 1. And when x is equal to 0, we get that y is equal to 0 squared, which is equal to 0. And when x is equal to positive 1, here y equals 1 squared, which is equal to 1. All right, so just write it all on one line very neatly. That therefore x is equal to minus 1, comma y equals 1. X is equal to 0, comma y equals 0. And then x is equal to 1, comma y equals 1. Then those are your solutions for that one. Okay, let's go to the next question, which is question 20. I'll just turn that around. Next page. Okay, so question 20 has these two equations. Okay, we have, this is the equation of a circle. We're going to learn that later. All right, that's the equation of a circle and that's the equation of a straight line. Okay, if we end up with two solutions for x and for y, it means that this straight line crosses that circle at 2 points. If we end up with one solution for x and one for y, then this is a tangent to the circle. Okay, I just thought I'd tell you that because later on you do need to interpret your simultaneous equations that way. All right, take the two equations, you're going to number them, 1 and 2. All right, and you're going to make x or y the subject in equation 2 and then sub that into equation 1. All right, now I choose to make x the subject, so make x the subject in equation 2. Okay, and I'm going to get 5x on its own first. 5x equals, bring the other two terms over to the other side. So you get minus 12y minus 13. Okay, and then when you isolate the x, divide by 5 throughout, you're going to get that x is equal to minus 12y minus 13 all over 5. Now leave it all over 5 because as I showed you in class, if you separate them, it gets a bit messy when you go to substitute it into number 1. All right? You can call that number 3 and then write sub 3 into equation 1. Okay, you haven't fiddled with equation 1 yet. Okay, that's the confusion that people have been having. They've made x the subject in number 2 and then they're trying to substitute it into 2. Well, no, you need to substitute into the equation that you haven't touched yet, okay? All right, so we're going to substitute x equals this term into number 1, all right? So when I write this in here, I'm going to put brackets around and square it. All right, here goes. Let's get a good position here. All right, so let's put in the x squared, right? There's the x. And we need to square that, okay? Keep following, plus y squared equals 1, all right? Now it's just a matter of expanding. So if you expand the top, all right, you're going to get minus 12y. If you square that, you get 144y squared. Minus 12, right, it's a binomial expansion, squared. So minus 12y times minus 13, you're going to get... and then you double that, you're going to get plus 312y, okay? So it's minus 12 times minus 13 times 2, and you get 312. And then you square your minus 13, you're going to get 169, right? All over, don't forget to square the bottom. 5 squared is 25. Right, it's all coming together nicely, and you'll see it will be a nice one in the end. Okay, finish writing the rest. Now multiply throughout by 25. So if you multiply this by 25, it's going to cancel. That's the whole idea of doing that. Multiply this by 25 and multiply the last one by 25. So let's write down what we've got now. And that's 144y squared plus 312y plus 169 plus 25y squared equals 1 times 25 is 25. Okay, be very careful as you do this. Go nice and slow, don't be distracted. Now 144 plus 25 is 169, collecting like terms, y squared, okay? 144y squared plus 25y squared is 169y squared. 312y, there's no other y term, so we're going to add that in. And then we have 169, we have to take away the 25, and we're going to end up with 144. Okay, and equals to 0. Now if you have a look at this trinomial, it is a perfect square, because if you take the square root of 169, it's 13. If you take the square root of 144, it's 12. 12 times 13 times 2 will give you 312. So this is a perfect square, and because it is, you can write it very nicely like this. Okay, 13y all squared gives you that, 12 all squared gives you that, multiply and double, you get the middle term. So that's a perfect square. All right, take the square root of both sides. All right, so if you take the square root of this side, the square disappears, and the square root of 0 is 0. All right, so then you just get that y is equal to, just solve it, minus 12 on 13. All right. Okay, so we'll call that number 4. And we're going to substitute number 4 into, now have a look above for the easiest equation, all right? And I'm looking at number 3. That's the easiest equation. I'm going to put y in there and I'm going to get x immediately, all right? Just by putting it into my calculator, actually. But you need to show that some substitution. So here we go. Substitute 4 into 3. And you just write x is equal to minus 12 times, now the y is minus 12 on 13, so minus 12 on 13, and then you've got on the top line minus 13, and then it's all over 5. Okay, when you simplify all of that, you will get that x is equal to minus 5 on 13. Okay, so then we just write the answer, that therefore x is equal to minus 5/13 and y is equal to minus 12/13, which graphically means that this line, this straight line here, is actually a tangent to this circle. It only touches it at one point because we only found one solution for x and y. Okay, and that point where it touches it is the point minus 5/13, comma minus 12/13. They're the coordinates of that point.